Now look, hey, we've all been there. We've all seen it happen. We've all seen why teachers are so fed up with this. We've all seen it. We've been in classrooms, we've seen it. Kids are not listening. We deal with it all the time. Talking while the teacher's talking slash teaching. It's a thing that teachers hate. I mean, think about this. How was your weekend? What you gonna do this weekend? Why are you talking while I'm talking? I don't know. I wasn't talking. It's the thing though. You don't talk while the teacher's talking. Or teaching for that matter. Period. You don't ever do that. Take a look at this clip.
Talking while the teacher is talking.
The first step is 2 plus 1, which is 3, multiplied by 4 and multiplied by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is class. 36. Hey, how was your weekend? Good. How was yours? Emily and Braylon, why are you talking while I'm teaching? I was explaining the problem to Braylon. Braylon, was Emily explaining the problem to you? No. That's what I thought. Bring me your grades. Yes, ma'am.
That's the common sense here. You don't talk while the teacher's teaching. I mean, I don't want to hear all about what you did this weekend, what you're going to do this weekend, blah, 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 or there's new content, new video game happening. I get it. Talk while you're in lunch, or wait till you have free time, or a free period. But when they have rules saying you can't be talking while I'm talking, I mean, I've been there. That's why I couldn't concentrate while I was in school, because a lot of people were talking. I couldn't listen. I couldn't hear them because everybody was all chit-chatty, chit-chat, 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 chit-chat. I could not listen. I could not learn. I wanted to get an education. Talking while the teacher's talking is a distraction to the educational process, along with hats, hoodies, exposed areas. I mean, think about it. We talked about dress code. Exposed breasts, butts, sagging. It's all distraction. That's why dress code rules have rules like no clothing that will expose breasts, butts, boxers. Have clothes that fit you. So that way you won't be distracted in the classroom. We talked about hats in. Let me go back on this. Back in our archives here, because we talked about hats. We talked about hats and hoodies in our schools. I don't think I have them, so we're going to talk about it right now. But first, the issue here is talking about it to the teacher. Let's take a look.
So we all know that on Earth, there's more water than land. That's not true. How so? There's more land under the water. Hey, am I telling me why you're late to my class? Sorry, heavy traffic. Is that my fault? Did I blame you? He said it, son of a gun. Actually said it. You should not have said that.
You're damn right you should have said that. Now, what would have been the consequence of this? Phone calls home, detention, referral to the office. Those are the 3 consequences. He sat there and did nothing. If your student is talking back to you, you need to do these 3 things. It's an option to you. First, give out a warning saying, I'm going to give you a warning. Next time you talk back to me again, you're getting detention. Yes, sir. I mean, that's why when we were kids, we were taught when your parents tell you to do something, you do it. That's number 1. Number 2, you don't ever talk back to your parents or your teachers. When your teacher tells you to do something, you do it. No matter how you feel. You may feel upset that you're being told what to do, or you may be upset about this and this, at some point in our lives, we all have to learn about what we're being told to do. Because at times it's like, okay, what do I do? What you need to do is listen to your teacher so that you can just, I don't know, get on with your life. Because in life, you talk back to your boss, you're going to be written up or fired. That's really the common sense point of this. So, really, what I would do, if you see people talking, you're not sure what to do, just talk to them or talk to yourself. Which is kind of weird, but do it. So when you're in class next time, just remember, don't be talking back to your teachers or talking while a teacher's teaching. You may be a good multitasker. By the way, multitasking is doing more than two things at once. So you can just talk. I mean, you can't just rap and listen at the same time. Actually, there are 2 examples of this. We're gonna play a few. And still ahead, road rage, part of our driving me crazy. Stay with us. If you've been talking while a teacher's teaching, you better listen up good. You may sit there and say, have an excuse like, oh, I'm a good multitasker, whatever. But what if you realize that you're not when you're being sent to the office? Take a look at this clip.
Lately, I've been having problems with one student, and he seems to be unfocused in class, and he's talking while the teacher is teaching and disturbing his buddies who are trying to learn. What specific behaviors are you engaged in that they find disruptive?
Talking.
That's a good start. What else?
Singing, rapping. I'm the best rapper in Oklahoma City. But I pay attention.
You do? How can you pay attention and rap at the same time?
Because I'm multitaskable.
Multitasker.
Mm-hmm.
That allows you to rap and listen at the same exact time.
I'm an amazing multitasker because I can text on the cell phone, talk on the house phone, watch TV, and wash the dishes all at the same time.
You do love to rap. Can you freestyle?
Yeah, I can do a little freestyle.
Well, what I want you to do is I'm going to tell you the names of my 4 brothers while you freestyle. I'm going to tell you their first name, their middle name, their last names. And I want to see how much of that you can remember while you freestyle.
Okay. They ain't gotta be dead to tell
Brother
me.
number 1 is Keith.
I miss my
Jerome
John.
Harris.
They took
Brother
my
number
heart
2, Charles
beginning to
Patrick
the end,
Harris.
always
Brother
stuck
number
with
3,
I love
Bobby
them so
Lee
much, I
Harris.
spend all my
Brother
time
number
with
4, Gregory
I love
Dwayne
more than
Harris.
anybody
All right,
can.
stop. How much of what I said do you remember?
Dwayne Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And the first brother you said, I don't know.
That's all you heard.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many total names did I give you?
12.
And you can remember only 2. 4 are very obvious, right? Because they have the same last name I have. So you're basically 1 for 12. So are you still convinced that you can rap and listen at the same time?
No.
I think my point has been proven, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. After meeting with Diamond today, he received 3 days out of school suspension. He needs time to think, to come up with a plan so that we can coexist in this building.
Here's a little rap about me getting kicked out. I gotta go home and hear my mama's mouth telling me I gotta clean this and clean that. I can't do this and I can't do that. So that's just my little freestyle game against the whole situation. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. There's a second one to this, where another multitasker was doing, he wasn't rapping, I mean, he was just talking. And the teacher kicked him out. Bottom line is this: you don't ever talk while the teacher's teaching. It's very disruptive. You're here to learn, not talk to your buddies, not talk to your friends. You're there to learn, get an education, go to school, learn, get your diploma, and get on with your life. That's the most important thing ever. When you go to school, you're not here to look good, look cool, talk to your friends. You're here to learn. You say 80-20, 80% education, 20%, you're dead wrong. You are dead wrong. So find it here. Oh, there it is.
Talking in class when they should be working is one of our most common offenses. Sean, come on, inside, my office. This is a high school, students are here to learn. If you're disrupting class, I'm gonna see you in my office. Sean, why were you sent out of Mr. Elmo's class?
We were doing work, and yeah, I was talking, so he kicked me out in the hallway. So I come back in and I ask, is this student at the end of the period? He goes, yes, and in 5 minutes, if you're quiet, I'll let you back in. So I thought he said, stay in now.
Did you ask him that question?
No.
So we just assumed.
Yes.
You know what they say about assuming, right? Never assume.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. And what were you supposed to be doing?
A word search.
And if we were talking to our friend, were we getting the word search done?
Yeah.
You're a good multitasker?
I don't know.
You know what multitasking is, Sean? What is it?
Two things at once.
Doing more things at once, right?
Yeah.
Right? Are we good at that?
I guess.
You guess?
Yeah.
Was the word search being graded?
Yes.
So it was important.
Yeah.
Was it as important as talking to your friend? More important, right?
Yes.
Teachers are going to do what in class?
Teach.
And students are going to do what?
Learn.
And if we're talking to our friend and not following directions, is that happening?
No.
Do we have a right to be in class then? No. You know the policy, right? You get sent out of class, what does that earn you?
No regular detention.
You know what room detention's in?
16.
16. How come you know that?
Was there a lot?
They're a lot. Too much.
Yes.
Don't put yourself in a position to get sent out. I don't want to be having this problem anymore. I only want to see Sean for good things. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go back to class.
Now, let's look at the common sense perspective of all this. Going back to the first video, you don't give somebody out of school suspension. Detention is better than out of school suspension. Day off of school. That's just to them. The parents, when they were kids, when they were suspended, they got grounded by their parents. They were not allowed to go outside, have fun. They had to stay in and do work. To other people, it's like, yeah, a day off of school, I could just stay home. No, you gotta do some chores. Try to understand. That's the whole point here. Second video, they got it right. Detention. That's good. That's very, very good. Give them detention. That is very, very good. They went in the right direction here. So which one did better? This one. They got it right. You may have heard about some cases of road rage. And you may be thinking, so what can I do? Up next, we're going to show you how from part of our Driving Me Crazy. So stay with us. We've all been there. If you're driving or you're in the front seat of the car, you may have people shouting, Are you kidding me? You may have fucked them the bird, calling them an a-hole, but it's like this. The road was the canvas and your curse words were paintbrushes. You may have learned some of the best curse words from your parents and you may have used them, but we've heard about them. We're talking about road rage drivers. As part of our Driving Me Crazy series, that is what we're focusing on. What can you do to stop this road rage in Florida? Well, sometimes in Texas, more about in Florida, where it's one of the worst states ever to do road rage. Here's Katie Jeffries.
So let's take this video and talk about road rage. Admit it, you learned all of your best curse words from your parents in the car. They were like Vincent van Gogh. The road was their canvas and curse words were their paintbrush. I don't know if it's the heat down here because our road rage is out of control. Listen. We are all Florida drivers, which means we're all terrible. You put us in a car, and suddenly we're like Sandra Bullock in Bird Box trying to drive. Are there other cars? I can't see. Oh, you saw me, and you cut me off anyway. But I really just need to calm down. I need to take a note from Elsa. Let it go, let it go. Do I get mad when people cut me off? Yeah. But do I want to get shot, or do I want to go to jail? Not really. Real talk for a second. Too many people have died or gotten run off the roads because of road rage incidents. We all just need to chill. We're basically in metal boxes flying down the roads. Sometimes things are gonna happen, okay? Deal with it. And hey, we learned this when we were young. Look what road rage did to Cruella de Vil. It ages you, and it might make you hate puppies. Easy things that you can do to make a difference. First of all, use your blinker. Do you even know where it is? I'm looking at you, Karen. Don't be a left lane lagger. Don't tailgate people. And if there is one thing that we learned from the Kentucky Derby this year, it is to stay in your lane. Look, I'm not here to give you a sermon. I am not perfect. I have said and done some things that were really stupid. Example, this is a true story. So a few years ago, I was on Atlantic Boulevard, okay? And I was at a stoplight, and this guy came up and was like banging on my window, yelling that I had cut him off, which I didn't. But whatever. So he's yelling, and then he says that he's going to kill me. My response was, no, you won't. There's far too many witnesses. Oh my God. Could not have had a worse response. I can't believe I said that. I'm an idiot. So after that, I've really tried to take it down a notch. There's no need to yell or hand gesture at people. There's really no scenario in which this ends well. And really, you don't feel better at the end of the day afterward. If you can, try not to react at all. I know you'd have to have the self-control of a saint, but try. As much as I wish I could be like Bruce Almighty and part the traffic, it's just not gonna happen. So chill, maybe do some yoga breathing, and realize that not everything that people do on the road is malicious. Some people are just bad drivers. Be nice.
Goddamn right. But let's look at those hand gestures. Like flipping the bird. Now you've all seen them like, you cut me off, so I'm cutting you off. You don't do that. I mean, flipping people, the bird, this is worse than flipping off the police. But can you actually legally do it? Well, yeah, you can. The Supreme Court says you can. Take a look.
Some list.
Hi, my name is Larry Newman. I'm an attorney in upstate New York. Our practice handles the Finger Lakes region of New York State for three things: traffic defense, DWI defense, and criminal defense cases. Today I want to talk to you about a recent case. It comes from the Sixth Circuit, where a woman got pulled over for speeding. The police officer was generous and decided not to give her a speeding ticket. He gave her a non-speeding ticket and proceeded to walk back to his car and drive away. While he was driving away, she flipped up her finger at him. She flipped him the bird, And then he proceeded to pull her over a second time, took back the ticket that he gave her, and reissued her the first ticket for speeding. She took the time and the effort and brought this case all the way up to the Sixth Circuit because she thought it was her constitutional right to flip off the cop. And I agree, and the court agreed. You have a constitutional First Amendment right, freedom of speech, to flip off anybody you want to, including the police. But from a practical basis, not a good idea to flip off anybody, especially while you're driving. Other drivers can pull out a gun, can pull out a knife, can start chasing after you with their cars. The police, if you're abrasive with them, use foul language with them, or flip them off, can write you all types of tickets. They can arrest you. They can do all kinds of stuff because they're going to say certain things that you did or certain things that you said and take it as a threat or whatever. But from a practical basis, not a good idea to do it. Constitutional, legal basis, yes, you can do all those things to anybody you want. But with the caveat, it's going to bring consequences. If you have a question about a case in upstate New York.
So that's the common sense. You want an example?
Here's a good way to get yourself killed. That's exactly what Florida law enforcement said about a high-speed chase involving motorcycles. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office said officers were following a group of motorcycles that was allegedly popping wheelies and driving recklessly at night. Police dashcam video shows one of the motorcyclists entering the intersection on a red light and allegedly flipping off police right before colliding with a truck. Officers say the other motorcycles in the group ignored a red light and continued to flee. Cops apprehended the suspect after he allegedly got off his motorcycle and ran.
We got him. Idiot.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know.
The suspect said his leg was hurt, and deputies called for medical assistance.
That was dumb. You think?
Then he tried to run, now his legs back.
Oh yeah, ran just fine. On P Street?
Yeah. Look at it, are you guys kidding me?
Yeah. Seems like you ran pretty good from there to here.
But it
hurts. I'm sure it does.
The sheriff's deputies fist bump over the suspect who is lying on the ground.
We're being chased by 12 cops in the middle
You
of
are? No.
What am I supposed to do?
Stop and figure out why we're chasing you.
According to the Volusia County Sheriffs, the suspect was charged with fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement, resisting without violence, and leaving the scene of a crash. He also received traffic citations for failure to stop at a red light and passing in a no passing zone. The suspect was released from jail on $6,000 bond and has not yet entered a plea. This is Inside.
So there's the common sense here. You don't flip somebody off. If it's your Supreme Court right to flip somebody off, okay, but you're going to get pulled over and probably get a ticket. That's what can happen to you if you ever flip somebody off. That's the common sense perspective here. By just looking at it. Alright. Coming up next, this kid had a coma. It's all about the head injury. This was from Nova, and you're going to see some extras in that program. And will Alex open his eyes? You'll also meet the doctor who also performed that surgery. Stay with us. Now an inspiring story about one person who went through it all. It involves one thing. Head injury. At once, one of the most serious and devastating incidents. Since it involves the only thing we have, the human brain. Months ago, we focused in on one surgery for the brain, the hemispherectomy. We looked at 2 to 3 cases. Casey Caves, and Brandy Binder, who both had hemispherectomy surgeries. But this is way different. Tonight, you're going to meet one person who has coma and went through an extraordinary process from one doctor, which you'll meet tonight. Now, I have to warn you, some of the footage you're about to see is quite graphic. Please ask your kids to leave the room. I put the video on age restriction for one reason, because it was graphic. But we have to be aware of what's going on. So watch at your own risk. Here's Diane Sawyer.
Find out what the trauma is. Head trauma.
Struck by a car while crossing the street, a child lies in a coma. Paramedics report that the child was rigidly extending his arms. It's called posturing, a sign of severe head trauma.
Why was he intubated? We got on the scene. He was already in the back of the EMT's truck. They told me that he was underneath the car. They don't know if it was the car that hit him. They don't know if he was thrown underneath that car, but he was hit by a car.
So we don't have a 9-year-old child hit by a car and he was found unconscious under the car posture.
When the patient came in, it was obvious that it was a severe head trauma case because he was not moving, he was unconscious, and the paramedics were reporting that he was agonally breathing, which means that it's a type of shallow breathing that is usually associated with impending death.
The team hooks the child up to a respirator and quickly monitors vital signs
Can we get a monitor?
before it can focus on the head
Does
injury.
anyone have any pressure yet? He's popping at 120. 120, so we're going up the head CT. I'm just going to scan the whole way down. I just think that this kid really needs a head CT in a big way.
Someone get some blankets, warm sheets, let's keep the kid warm.
The team rushes the child to the CAT scan to take special x-rays of the brain to determine what's happening inside the head.
Ready?
What's the IV line? What's the IV line? Oh, okay, good.
Gag a couple times. Good.
Before the x-rays are taken, the patient starts having seizures.
Our lanterns in.
Seizures may be a sign that blood has leaked into the brain.
Seizing, see that?
These areas of injury will cause swelling, which could be life-threatening.
All right, thanks a lot, Dr. Strong.
The call goes out to a neurosurgeon who specializes in severe head trauma cases, Dr. Jam Gajar.
Yeah, hi, it's Dr. Gajar. Can you reach Dr. Venue for me?
On call, Gajar responds to emergencies 24 hours a day.
Hello, Venue. Yeah, did you examine him? Does he open his eyes? He's not opening his eyes. Okay, can you have the Ventrix set up and a cut-down set? Okay, is the mother there?
Gajar is ready to implement a course of treatment designed to prevent the so-called second accident of head injury.
I'm on my way.
We used to think that all the injury occurred at the moment of impact. But now we know that actually a lot of injury occurs afterwards, in the first week in the hospital. The brain swells up, the brain doesn't get enough blood and oxygen, and then parts of the brain die. That injury in itself can be far worse than the first injury.
Where's the, you have the scan, the copy of the scans?
There are definitely signs of swelling.
This is his CAT scan. Basal cisterns here are normally wide open. Here they're partially closed off. So these are early signs of swelling in the brain.
Without more room, the brain could strangulate. One way to make space is to drain clear fluid that normally accumulates.
The best way to do that is to put a tube into the brain and to place the tube somewhat in the center of the brain where the spinal fluid is made, so that if the pressure gets too high, you can just drain some of this fluid and relieve the swelling.
Gajar invented a device to assist in this procedure, and other techniques are readily available.
You get a secrecy?
But many hospitals consider this first step costly and unnecessary.
There is more work on part of the medical personnel. Once you start monitoring brain pressure, you've got to start doing things.
Can I bring Mom in for a minute? Okay, Mom. Let me help you with something. Grab some later.
All right, baby.
Right there, right at that part. Yellow on.
What I always tell you that you're my baby.
Yeah, my firstborn, my son has 2. My only son I got, you got a son for me. I love you, son. He's already got one out.
He's right here, okay? He's into cars, football, bikes,
Yeah. All the time.
and his karate, of course, which is
Yeah.
when he's coming home.
He had just gotten his yellow belt also yesterday.
Second yellow belt.
His second yellow belt.
He was on his way home to tell me.
Yeah. So,
He's a very loving child. That I can say for Alex. Everybody loves him because he's very loving. He's very affectionate. You know, he's always touching you, hugging you.
the neurosurgeon pretty much told us it's a 50-50 chance. He told us just, like that. And, you stop and you say to yourself, how much you appreciate your child.
Yeah, hi, it's Dr. Gajar from neurosurgery. Did you hear about the pediatric transfer? There's a 9-year-old boy who's hit by a car, brought to Jamaica Hospital emergency room. He was comatose and then had a seizure.
Shortly before midnight, Alex is transferred to New York Hospital. There, in a special intensive care unit for children, Alex's mother gets an update from Dr. Gajar.
The next 3 days are really crucial. See how much his brain swells up. But the good news is that right now, his pressure's not too high. And, the question is, what will he be like ultimately? Right now, we don't address those kind of questions. Right now, it's kind of life and death. We're trying to prevent the brain from swelling further. That's why he's here in the intensive care unit.
Throughout the night, the team will watch for any change in Alexander's brain pressure. A bedside vigil Gajar believes is absolutely key, yet dangerously missing from many hospitals.
Let's see if the brain is going.
In fact, in a survey of U.S. trauma centers, Gajar and his colleagues found that 70% were not monitoring this pressure.
We knew from the literature that patients that did not have their brain pressure monitored and were not treated aggressively had a much higher death rate and poorer outcome than patients that did have the pressure monitored. So just that, we could see there was a problem.
On day 2, Alex has a problem. One of his pupils has dilated, and that's a bad sign.
There's a nerve that goes to the pupil, and if the brain gets very swollen, it can actually squish that nerve within the skull. And when it presses on that nerve, the pupil dilates. So he was in a very serious condition at that point.
Sorry, Alex, you'll be done in a second, big guy. I'm just gonna take a picture of your head.
A second CAT scan is ordered, which confirms that brain swelling has increased overnight.
And these black areas here are spinal fluid. And you don't see it very well. That means there's a lot of swelling. So it's like you slam your finger in the door. This finger swells up. The brain is now swelling.
Well, there was family members in here, and then he just started to get very agitated. His ICP went out his hands and his legs started going.
Despite the draining of brain fluid, the pressure inside Alex's skull continues to rise.
Still age 22.
Called ICP for intracranial pressure, it climbs into the 30s, well above the norm of 10.
It's draining okay, huh?
When swelling can't be controlled, the brain chokes off the supply of oxygen-carrying blood. The strategy now is to raise blood pressure, keeping it 70 points higher than brain pressure, using medication. If the plan works, it will force blood through the brain during this critical stage.
When you're in there with him right now, try not to talk to him. You just hold his hand or stroke him or whatever, but don't, try not to stimulate him, okay?
Yesterday, a lot of family members came around and that made his intracranial pressure go up.
Oh, wow. Oh, what's going on?
It's been very high, and it hasn't gone down no matter how much they drain.
pressure was kind of high.
It's very hard on any parent. I mean, he's still with us, he's still alive, so, it's not, I can't say it's a loss of a child, but just the thought of it.
You wonder how you keep your sanity, But I just keep myself up to keep my wife together so that she won't lose it, and just hang in there, a lot of prayers.
Deborah Ward of Greenwich, Connecticut once kept the same vigil as Alex's parents. Almost 4 years ago, on a rainy afternoon, her daughter was in an accident.
Nicole was driving to field hockey practice on October 23rd, and this was the way that she went. So she was driving her Volkswagen Cabriolet, so she would have turned left here and right down ahead on the right. The tree's been cut down. You can see the stump of it there, but her car crested the lawn and went up and hit the tree on the driver's side. Her head struck the tree.
Nicole was taken to the ER of the nearest hospital, in a coma and having seizures. Her brain pressure was not monitored.
Sometime later, one of the doctors said it's not probable that she will make it. If you are a religious person, you should contact your pastor or your priest and have them come. We were told clearly that Nicole's prognosis was terrible, that there was really nothing that they could do for her. And Nicole has administered her last rites, which is hard to see.
Nicole's parents wanted their daughter back and were convinced she'd have a better chance at a big city hospital. A transfer to New York Hospital was arranged by a doctor in Greenwich who, coincidentally, had been a roommate in medical school with Jem Gajar.
What Dr. Gajar did for Nicole was a procedure so that the pressure in her brain could be monitored and controlled. The closer to the time of injury that it's done, the better the perhaps outcome can be. I could at that point only hope and pray that we had reacted quickly enough.
2 years later, on the same intensive care unit where Nicole Ward was treated, Alexander enters day 5.
He was really awake this morning when I first got here.
What was he doing?
He was like moving his feet and his arms,
Really?
opening his eyes.
Oh, he opened his eyes. All right. Alexander, open your eyes. Open them up. Alex, open your eyes. Oh, great. Hi. Oh, there we go. Hello.
This is the first time you opened?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Alex's brain is re-establishing cycles of sleeping and waking, signaling a new level of consciousness. Technically, he's no longer in a coma, and Gajar is no longer concerned about the pressure inside his brain.
Hi. So we had some good news this morning, huh? Oh, is this baby sister? Yeah. Oh, hi, how are you? Hi, what's your name?
Adriana.
Ariana. That's a beautiful name. How old are you?
3.
3. Oh. How's your brother?
9.
Wow. That's pretty good. Anyway, so, he opens his eyes. So that's great. So now we'll start, weaning him off the respirator, and we can take the tube out of his brain.
Oh, he grabbed my hand. He grabbed my hand.
The chance of Alex surviving has now greatly improved. But the question is, in what condition?
So, Alex's eyes are open. But what will he be able to do? When we come back, you're going to see more of Alex as he gets out of the coma. You'll also meet other victims of coma who Dr. Javar has operated on. As Diane Sawyer concludes Coma. Stay with us. Before we move on to Coma, here's the thing you gotta know. One school in Ohio is not tolerating any more of these threats. That's what one school is doing. In Ohio, a local school district sent a serious warning to parents on Friday after a student joked about shooting up a school. According to the school, the student made a joke during an online game. Are we going back to Dalton Bonhart? We probably are. Mason School sent an email to parents Friday afternoon warning people of the consequences of jokes about the school. The district said they have an uptick on students using poor judgment while playing online games at school. Okay? Don't have people bring video games in. On Friday, one Mason School wrote, I am going to shoot up the school during an online game on the district's network. District officials were flagged thanks to a monitoring system that alerts of the key words that could indicate self-harm or threats. District is asking parents to talk to their kids about serious implications or threats of the language that could proceed in that way. It's no joke. You do those things, you're in juvie. That's the bottom line. When we come back, more about Alex. What will he be able to do now that his eyes are open?
Alex's eyes are open, but what will he be able to do?
It's your friend here. Look at this. Look at your friend.
See how coma victims can come back.
The predictions were that I will be a permanent vegetable.
When Primetime continues. Primetime continues. Once again, Diane Sawyer.
And now continuing our story. As we said, 9-year-old Alexander is technically not in a coma anymore, and that's some good news for his family. But now come the crucial discoveries. How much of Alex remains? How much of the wonderful little boy they knew can be brought back?
I forgot to pause it. Now the conclusion to our story. Alex's eyes are open. What will he be able to do? You've heard and seen what Alex can do. He was in a coma. But the question remains as, what will he do now that his eyes are open? You're about to see what happens now when the coma victim is out of the coma. You also meet someone who was in the coma, and came out of it. She thought she was going to be a permanent vegetable. But wait till you see what happens when you meet her. Once again, here's Diane Sawyer.
Can you open your eyes, Alexander? Alexander? The first stage is a coma where they don't open their eyes. That's about the first week. And the second week, they open their eyes, but they don't do anything. Yeah. And then the next stage is they open their eyes and they do purposeful things. Right. So when he opens his eyes, he's no longer in coma, but he's not doing anything, so he's just aroused. Just needs a vegetative state. Right. Now, some people stay there. You know, we don't want that to happen. Right. So I want to see something purposeful from him. Seeing a tough time.
It's now day 13, and Gajar is still waiting for Alex to show conscious behavior.
There's this period of time, and it's a few days to a week. It could even last up to months, where there's no conscious behavior. And it is the most difficult time for me and for all medical personnel, where you're worried, is this patient going to be one of those 5 to 10% of patients that's going to be permanently vegetative? He was opening his eyes, but not following any commands, not making any purposeful gestures with his arms or legs. There was no conscious behavior. Where's his teddy bear? He likes looking at his teddy bear. See if he follows this. It's your friend here. Look at this. Look at your friend. Look over here.
I had a conversation with Mom yesterday. She's becoming somewhat discouraged because now the progress is slow, and I told her she has to expect that things will move very slowly now, and that she has to measure his progress over weeks and maybe months rather than day to day.
The Hollywood version of coming out of a coma is that the person looks beautiful and is asleep, and that all of a sudden their eyes open and it's a beautiful sunny day and birds are chirping and everything's great. The reality of coming out of a coma is very different. It's very slow. Nicole's eyes were open for a long period of time before she could actually really respond to me. And that was almost harder than when they were closed.
The predictions were that I will be a permanent vegetable. I will never do anything for myself ever again.
The predictions were wrong. Today, Nicole is in college, looking toward the future. She earned an internship at a television station. But her road to recovery has been long and difficult.
It's not like sometimes I have to deal with some of the effects. It's every day. Things like walking. I walk sort of not right. And I can feel that in myself, and sometimes after I've said it to people, then they notice it too. I always feel a little bit different than the average student. I take 4 classes per semester, not 5. But I can walk, I can think, I can write. I'm so lucky, really, that I happened to be taken to New York Hospital, where Dr. Jim Gajar did the ventriculostomy on me, and that was all happenstance. It was all luck.
On Friday, the chaplain was in there speaking to me. He was saying good morning, and Alexander all of a sudden opened his eyes and looked at him. I was like, did you see that? Did you see that? So, but he closed them right away again, so I came onto the other side of the bed where I would be in his view. And he opened up his eyes and he smiled at me. That was like the greatest.
I can hear you, Pepsi.
20 days after his accident, Alex recognized his mother, passing a major milestone.
I can't hear you, Pepsi. We're gonna go to the other hospital where you're gonna get physical therapy for this. You gotta get strong again. I told you, for karate.
Hey, how you doing? Can you lift your leg up? Lift your leg up here. The best moment is when they follow commands, and that's a great time. They may even track you, follow you with your eyes first, and then you say, "Show me 2 fingers." Can you show me all 5 fingers? Good. Show me 2 fingers. That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. How about 3? Hey, that's very good. That's very good. Give me a squeeze over here. Huh?
Following commands is a sign that Alex has finally emerged from a vegetative state.
Alexander, are you going to leave the hospital? Yeah? Where are we going to go? Go someplace that's more fun, huh?
Bye, Alex.
Bye, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
No longer in need of intensive medical care, Alex leaves New York Hospital for a nearby rehabilitation center, where he'll be under the care of a team of therapists, teachers, and a psychologist.
Do you have any questions for me?
I've noticed, like, when I speak to him, I feel like he's ignoring me, and he would never have done that before this. So I was wondering if that's, like, part of that. Will that go away?
Some children lose. Yeah, some children, their personality changes from the accident, but it's too early to predict anything about that.
Hello? Hello?
destroying hope. Hope helps support all the interventions that are going to be necessary 3 months from now and 6 months from now and 2 years from now. See how I grew? Newborn. Go ahead.
2 days old, 2 weeks old, 6 months old, 1.5 years old.
Very good. Okay.
It's not a miracle that these patients recover and do well. Hey, this isn't the man, is it?
Look, Alex.
Wow, you look terrific.
This is my brother.
It's your brother, huh? How are you feeling? I think miracles are great. We can use them whenever we get them. But this is an application of good scientific methods. Give you a big squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze. Oh, don't break my fingers. Okay, how about this one? Hey, that's pretty good. Okay, go ahead. Whoa! That's very impressive. I can't do that. Well, it's great seeing you, Alex. Bye.
Based on experiences with patients like Alexander and Nicole, Dr. Gajar and his colleagues are traveling around the world to spread the word about their treatment of head trauma patients.
Dr. Gajar, how are you? Where are you from? Romania.
To push for guidelines stressing the constant monitoring of intracranial pressure.
I like to follow the exam. It's a lot easier just to put the patient on the ventilator, give them some drugs, and come back next week and see how they're doing. I think if these patients were awake and say, listen, do something for me, we'd be doing a lot more for them.
So Alex has made a very miraculous recovery from his injuries, and that's a good indication of just how strong he really is inside. He's a real warrior. I've gone to visit him several times in the hospital when he was in a coma, and I remember at one point they told me that he wasn't responding anymore, and I was terrified. And when I found out that he actually pulled through it, I just couldn't believe it. He was so fantastic. So Alex,
Thank you.
okay, and today we're going to present him with his second yellow belt, which is where we left off when he last left us. So I'll turn around to get the belt off, please.
And that is a champion. Since this story first aired on Nova, Dr. Gajar and his colleagues across the country have been working hard to see that the care Alex received, especially the monitoring of brain pressure, is practiced in all hospitals. But an alarming number of hospitals still believe the technique is unnecessary, too labor-intensive.
Too labor-intensive. We'll be right back. As you can probably tell, I'm still crying. I'm probably crying a few, well, tears. But yeah, after the first time I watched this, I didn't know anything about this or the surgery about this. But from my perspective, I really think people can. I really think people can walk this off. But with the attitude, you probably cannot walk it off. But in 6 years of doing this broadcast, I've never been there's never been a more success story quite like what you just saw tonight. But there is hope out there. And what I've learned is that you never quit, you never give up. That's the lesson here. You don't need to throw common sense on there. Doctors knew what they were doing. And I applaud Alex and Dr. Javar for doing their best. And they did their best. that would make any person happy. And if people were to try this out, possibly, maybe, lots of hospitals could do this. Learn how to. If it was in Driscoll's Hospital or somewhere here in Corpus, they look at this, they would contact him and go, we want to try this out, and possibly it probably would work, but probably nobody else would try it because it's been proven unsuccessful. But I would say give it a try, see if you like it, and if you don't, then maybe your choice. So make the best choice possible for your coma victims by trying Dr. Javar's best experiment. It may work for you or your local hospital, or for your patient, or all the above. Just try your best. Coming up on Monday, this man was under arrest for what he did of an explicit crime that you don't often hear about. This man put something into the woman's drink. She drank it. They all passed out. You will see a horrific videotape that was never seen. And you also discover where the man got the medication from. It's a case of sex, of rape, drugs, and crossing the border. That's on Monday. That's Give Me a Break for this Saturday. We'll going into Sunday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Monday. Oh, and it's the second time I forgot to pause the video. So I apologize for that. It's the second time ever. First time I did it was last season. I promise you guys, it will never happen again. Which I always say that, but oftentimes I believe it won't happen. But I promise you this time, it won't happen again. For everyone here at YouTube, concentration, not strength. That's what I've learned. And for coma victims, the same thing. Concentration, not strength. For everyone here at YouTube, have a good night.